I want you guys to look at two things going forward. I need you to view yourself in this business as an entrepreneur, because you are.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
You're so used to have people having this employee mindset where employees feel like when they go to work, that they go to work and they get paid when they go to work. And most employees get paid when they go to work regardless of what their output is. They show up to work, they get paid. The problem with entrepreneurship, aka realtors, real estate, self-employed, whatever it is you don't get paid to go to work. You get paid for one thing. What do you think it is? Production or output. That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. So when you show up to work, you have this mentality sometimes that, hey, look, I'm automatically get paid just because I'm showing up. But the problem with it as an entrepreneur is that you're not going to do that. Your pay is based on your output, aka what? Your fruit. So I want you guys to be obsessed with that and understand, look, what's my output? I want you to understand two main things that make or break the entrepreneur. Number one is skill set. A lot of these things you think are not skill set are skill set. Like I mentioned, patience is a skill set. Sales ability is a skill set. Sales IQ is a skill set. Scripts, dialogues, all these things are skill sets that you can learn with enough what? I said a minute ago, reps. Very important piece here to understand. The second thing you have to be successful or a good entrepreneur is you have to have powerful beliefs. I was talking to one of my early mentors last week. When I was out of town, I was telling him one of the goals I have is I want to write this book for Luke, my son, to if something ever happened to me like that, he could be successful. And we were talking about it, and he asked me, what's the number one thing you think is most important for Luke if something did happen to you? And I said, belief. And he asked me why, and I said, the difference in people that come to our team over the years, they can look the same, talk the same, have a similar background, and guess what the difference in ones that make it and ones that don't make it? Belief. But I want you guys to understand there's two types of belief that you have. Number one is known beliefs. What do you think that means? And you can look at that as known limits too. Yeah, like, hey, I can do this, I can't do this, right? It's the same reason that you come in and somebody's at the top of the sales board, but you continue to show up at 6 or 7. The only difference between the person at 6 or 7 and the person at number 1 is always going back to beliefs. Why? Because if they believe they could do it, what would they do? They would learn the skill set to actually be number 1. And they'd battle back and forth month after month after month. They go back and forth, back and forth. And that's ideally what you want. But if I look back and say, look, why do people just sit okay and be okay with 4, 5, 6, and 7? Or 8, 9, 10, or 15, or 18, wherever they are on the line of rankings for agents? It always comes down to beliefs. And the beliefs is usually tied to what? Their childhood and their track record of success or lack thereof in the previous years. But I want you to understand and consider that you can build that up and you can understand what you're able to do by building the credibility in yourself through things like 75 Hard, through disciplining what you do, through just showing up. You've got to rebuild your credit to yourself in many cases to get belief. What does that mean? Well, if I told myself over and over I was going to do things and I don't follow through with them, what happens to my belief? It goes down. And so if you have a pattern of doing that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then all of a sudden you have these known limits. And that's why you see a lot of people have never lasted a job more than a year. They go from place to place to place to place to place because they don't have the known ability or belief to actually get there in that scenario. The crazy part that I want you guys to understand that you got to look for is you have unknown beliefs. That's why I want to share it today. What is an unknown belief you think? Everybody has these, and these are holding everybody back. What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
Subconscious belief.
Yeah, in a way. What else? What else? Somebody give me an example.
I say almost like your worldview in a way, on how you subconsciously perceive things operate.
Yep.
That may not be the actual facts.
Yep. The definition away is that your unknown beliefs are so ingrained you don't know that they're actually limitations. They're the lens through in which you see the world around you. It's very similar, right? Your beliefs are so ingrained in you don't know they're limitations. They're the lens in which you see through and you see the world around you. I want you guys to take some time the next few days and investigate what are my unknown beliefs that maybe hold me back. Why am I okay with just showing up to the huddle 70% of the time? Why am I okay being 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 on the line when I know that I could do it and be number one, and just understand, like, hey, look, if you could just have a shift right here and find some fire in yourself to make sure that you can do the work to increase your skill set, you can do it. Because everything you have and you need is right in front of you. The leads are here, the scripts are here, the training's here, the support's here. Like I showed in the previous slide, we have the absolute best scenario you can have to set yourself up for success. You just got to do what? Get your belief up enough that you actually do the work to make it happen. And most of that belief comes from conditioning your entire life. I was telling Jay about that. I was like, look, my biggest fear for my son is that something happens to me and that I'm not there to do what? To shape his belief. That's the biggest fear. And so I even told Jay, I'm even thinking about trying to write a book so he can read if something ever happens to me. Here's number one. Here's the top 25 most important skills. Number one of those is belief. You can do anything you ever want in your life, you just do it. Second thing here. The second piece, the most important piece for an entrepreneur, and the thing that gets them the most success is leverage. Leverage. What do you think that means?
Using resources to maximize your time and efforts.
Yep, leverage is, I want you guys to look at leverage all across the board. So if you look at leverage, overall, you have leverage. I can't remember what one of Archimedes, somebody said, you give me a lever long enough, I can move the world, right? But you have this piece of this lever. Let's just say this is your hand here, right? Here's an arm and the lever. This right here is where I have the piece that creates leverage, right? And leverage for me is that as I pull down, what happens? I'm able to lift and have more move out. So here's the input I have. Creates more leverage out. And the one thing I need you guys to be obsessed with in real estate going forward is how do I make sure I create the most leverage in my business? Meaning what? More and less time. Okay? I understand here my beliefs, my skill set matters, but I want to have you guys consider here that skill set in itself is also leverage. How is that, you think? If I make 100 dials and I book one appointment, that's one thing. If I make 100 dials and book 10 appointments, what's that? That's a 10x return on the same exact time. Which is what? Leverage. I have a 10x return in the same amount of time making 100 dials. And so I want you to understand right now what's going to be one of your biggest points of leverage in this marketplace is going to be skill set. Specifically what? Telephone. Right? Differentiating right now, making sure you can get them hooked in, and obviously your follow-up calls for your, especially sellers, and also my 8, 9, 10, 11 calls to my people in my thing right there. But I want you guys to be obsessed right now with your leverage in what you do. The problem is, here's the problem. Many of your skill set right now is right here. So if I press this lever down right here, how much leverage do I have? Not a lot. What I need you to do from a skill set standpoint right now, in a thought process, I need you to get your skill set to a place here where when you press down, what's it do? It creates a lot more output in the same amount of time. And so the number one outputs, the number one leverage I want you guys to focus on this next quarter, number one, like I mentioned, skill set. Like Andy talks about, he talks about you want to be what? An assassin, a sniper. You want to make sure you're so good you can just snipe these people out from the woods with how you talk, how you operate. But we're not near that level, right? You watch how confident those guys are when they're sitting on the hot seat. We're not there yet. I need you guys to be at that point. That's, again, phone, presentation, and face-to-face afterwards, which is what? I can sign a lot of people. If they don't buy anything, it doesn't matter. I need you to figure out where's your skill set weakness at right now, and where are you going to fix that? Very, very important piece there. overall. Second piece, technology. I need you guys to figure out and maximize how to use the CRM, the back end of our systems, whichever one you're in, Boomtown or Sierra. I need you to make sure I'm watching over and over and over and over, especially in the seller side right now, that we have leads we talk to or they respond back, and guess what we don't do? We don't restart the plan, and they're going to fall into the abyss. We've got to be obsessed with understanding of everything I do has to make sure I'm maximizing my leverage here. This is leverage. And so the entrepreneur skill set times leverage is going to determine your success in Q4 and Q1 going forward. With me on this? Third piece here. What do you think it is? Time management. You got to make sure you have consistency in how you're showing up. If I only have so much time in the day, we all have the same amount of time, and I feel overwhelmed. What's that mean? I've got to get much better at my time management. Now, what's the problem with that? The time management piece. For most of you in the room, your top management piece is an unknown belief. You think that you're doing all you can, but guess what? On the outside, you suck at time management. How do we know? You look at your calendar, look at your results, look at your huddle show attendance, all these things here. You got to make sure that you understand this is where I need to find leverage at in my business. Why? I'm trying to help prep you guys for what's coming in the marketplace. So that we win and you get to the other side and all of a sudden that 6,800 is now 4,200. And guess what? The deals start raising up, and guess who gets to get all those deals? You do. Because you double down at the right time and make sure you change at the right time. You guys with me on this? And the last thing I want you to do right here, and number 4, I want you to write down what's the number one thing for you that's going to help create leverage for you. Number one thing is to help create leverage for you. And the last thing is going to change that. The last thing that's going to change that and get you guys through this to win this next quarter. I got to have you, most of you correct. Not supposed to teach this in the first part. I just forgot about it. Is what? Habits. This should be on the other page. But here's the deal. I want you to ask yourself this question. Write this down. What habits must be born into your life for the rest of this year? What habits must be born into your life for the rest of this year? What's the must? Shoe 4. For you to make in this business and thrive and have the income that you desire and have the lifestyle that you desire, what's going to happen from a habit standpoint? You know what it is, you're just not doing it. I want you to write down at least the top 3. The problem is every person has, you continue to give yourselves reason why you don't do it. You continue to give yourself excuses why you don't do it, reasons why you don't do it, reasons why you don't do it. But the reality is you know that you can do it, you just got to take time to build the habits out. The first month's going to suck, it's not going to be normal. Second month it starts to become a little more normal. Third month becomes normal again. All of a sudden you wouldn't really operate without having that. But the problem most people is they don't take time to do what? Build a habit. But you know right now what your weakness is, and I need you to write that down for me. Is it training? Is it my skill set? Is it my phone skills, my face-to-face skills? Is it my objection handling? Like what I need to build in here in that, and most of you is going to be time management. So my habit would be what? Making sure I hit the huddle every day. Right? Making sure I'm having these things, or whatever it is, the plan's already there for you. I need you to make sure that you're doing it. But for you to get to that next place, this whole thing I can teach you, I'm not going to teach right now. There's versions of you and parts of you and how you've been operating the last quarter and how you've been operating before that must die. There's going to be a part within you and how you've operated that's been holding you back from getting where you want to be in your business, and you got to figure out what version of you must die. And here's the hardest part. You're going to have to want it bad enough that you actually make the change. Most people say they want it, like we talked about. They say they'll dig for gold and dig deep enough to get the gold, but the problem is they won't actually do it. And if I had to be honest, most people in the room probably won't do it. But if I can get 1 or 2 of you to figure that piece out and drop that weight and drop that piece that's holding you back and make the change, it's worth it for me. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is investment. Everybody talks about this. I got this from I thought it was pretty cool. But people talk about investing. Then you guys are focused on what am I investing on in Q4. A lot of people talk about S&P 500. Anybody know what that is? So what does that have to do? What is that? Do you know what that is? Brennan. Right? So top 500 organization, basically it's that whole group, right? Where if you look back historically, if you can invest in that, you get 9-10% return over the last few decades. Right? And so that's an easy investment now. But I want you guys to understand and look back in this next quarter, in this market that's changing. I know I have to change. I want you guys to really focus on one thing. I want you to focus on this S and me 500. What that means? S and me 500. People are willing to put all this money in this company they can't control, into companies they can't control, and something they can't control the outcome on. You can't add any juice to actually change the outcome. But I guarantee you, if you take time to invest in yourself and buy some books and buy some courses, buy some stuff, that you can get much more than 10% return on that money. But you're going to have to be invested in yourself and doing it. With two main things. What is it? Time and money. Time and money. You got to spend the money to invest in yourself. Thankfully, I buy a lot of courses for you guys, that most of which that don't get used. We got tons and tons of courses for you. But you're going to find what works for you and make the investment. And the second thing that people miss on is the time piece. And so I want you to look down at what you're going to do this next quarter. As I know the market's changing, I'm going to buy some more tools. So before, I was picking up gold on the ground. I know the gold on the ground has all been picked up. Now I got to start digging for it. What's the first thing I do? Go buy some shovels. Right? I need to go buy some tools to help get me there to get to that gold. And so for us, in this example, that's going to be you buying something to help get yourself better. Books, audio, whatever it is, Audible, right? Whatever you need to make sure you're getting yourself in there. I want you to find something to resonate with from a sales standpoint. Here's the thing. If you got to ask what I need to study right now in this marketplace, what do you think it is? Mindset. Sales and mindset. Sales skills and mindset. Combination of both. There's a warrior program that you guys can get into. It's like couple hundred bucks. It's pretty good. Like a 60-day challenge, 90-day challenge. I think it's very helpful. I'll send you guys a link to that. But it's important that you understand, look, what am I doing for the SME this next quarter? Because I know things are about to change. And here's the deal. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? I spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands in coaching. It's not easy to do. But it's important for you guys to make sure that you're able to do that right now. There's nothing more powerful than getting that association with somebody who can help teach you. Right now, I think one of the best investments is, right, anything you get there, book, whatever it is in that scenario. I have the whole course. I bought 5 or 6 of the courses online that you guys can use, but I need you to make sure you're making some investments for yourself right now. Why? Why do you think that's important? Why am I making a big deal of it?
Because shit's about to get real.
I need you to change it because shit's about to get real. Every one of my friends last week that were at the mastermind that I'm pretty close to, guess what they said? Shit's about to get real. And the ones that get real and the ones that change will make a ton of money. Why? Because the average person isn't equipped to handle it, both mentally and skill set wise. Look at what we have from all that we've been building for the past almost 2 decades was built for this moment. The presentation, untouchable. Right? The track record, untouchable. Reviews, all the stuff we have, the celebrity endorsements, we're everywhere. All we got to do is make sure that we execute with the work and the skill sets to get through it. At the time, I think the last week when I was gone, the biggest weakness is our skill set in terms of conversion. We're just 2 clicks off. And I think it needs a little more energy, a little more tonality that matches the trust factor, and we have to have the ability to overcome objections. Guess what happens with, and I talked about this last week, a few people, everyone's getting a ton of objections right now. Everyone. And it's not just real estate industry, it's every industry. The car industry, right? The RV industry, the jet ski industry, all that's the same thing. Why? Rates are up, cost is up, trust is down, everyone's getting them. So the better I am at overcoming them, the more I'm going to win. So if you guys can invest 6, 8, 10 hours to get good, right, over and over and over, and make 3 times the money, it's worth it. Would you agree? So it's just important for you guys to take that. I know this is just kind of trying to unpack the things that I really have been thinking about and looking at, hey, how do we make sure we win going forward? And these are the main ones. And right now, I need you guys to look at yourself as an entrepreneur. If I was an entrepreneur and I don't learn and I don't invest in myself, what are the chances I'm going to make it as an entrepreneur? 0. Thankfully, here we're in business together, and I can help lead you to that and give you the tools, but you got to consume them. But I need you to this point of obsessed. Most people, they leave here, guess what they don't do? They don't study this shit. All right, I stayed up late last night, listened to those old things I was telling you guys about, and it just gets me deeper and deeper. You got to make sure you're in the right mindset to make sure you can win this, right? So I'm not trying to scare anybody. At the same time, I want you guys to win. I want everybody here to win and go through it with us. I'm going to win either way. I know I've done it before. I'll do it again. I like times like this because I'm tired of all these shitty agents getting in here and lessening the business. I'm old school. I don't like these people come in just brand new, offering 4% commissions. That just cheapens our business. I'm ready for them to flush out. And I know in a struggling market, if you're here offering 4%, 4.5%, guess what? You ain't making it very long. Period. And there's only going to be a matter of months before they're gone, they're out of here. And so our job there is to make sure that we're that good. We're the elite of the elite. And that's one thing, that last quote I'll talk about. I mentioned this before. You never want to be the discount guy. Why? It's always a race to the bottom. And I need your skill set and your sales IQ to match what the client needs from you right now. Are you with me on this? Because if they sense in your words, in your tonality, and the way you follow up, that you're not elite, guess what's going to happen? They're going right to somebody else who's there waiting in line.